Bismillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, thumma amma ba'd. Surah al-Hadid is one of the favorite surahs of mine in the Quran. It's a surah that is the first of the musabbihat. You remember I talked to you about the musabbihat before. The reason I'm putting this lecture up first, and we're starting our journey into Ramadan with the lecture on Surah al-Hadid, even though, if you remember, the plan for memorization was Jumu'ah, Munafiqun and Taghabun, 62, 63 and 64. Surah al-Hadid is surah number 57. It wasn't part of the memorization plan. I still want you to listen to this particular dars of Surah al-Hadid before going into the journey of listening to the durus and the lectures and the explanations of the other surahs, because this surah is the mother of all the musabbihat. It is the major musabbih surah. It's longer, and I haven't done the dars of the whole thing in this recording. It's just the first part, but I think it's enough to get you in the right mindset. And as a matter of fact, if you listen to this, inshallah, not only will you have the motivation, and even giving this dars gave me motivation to memorize more Qur'an in Ramadan. So inshallah, it'll give you motivation. And second of all, while you're listening to it, the days that you're going to listen to it, 1, 2, 3 days, whatever, however long it takes, at the same time you should start memorizing Surah Al-Jumu'ah, Surah Al-Munafiqun. You should start memorizing those. So you don't, even if you don't memorize this surah, get into those surahs, because that's the plan. You get a little bit of a head start. But content-wise and lesson-wise, I wanted to start with Surah Al-Hadid, because again, it sets the right tone. And inshallah ta'ala, it'll give us the right motivation to really, really make the most of this blessed month. So I hope you enjoy this dars. Please listen to it carefully. Don't take any notes. Just sit there and listen with concentration. Turn your phones off. Don't look at other stuff. Just sit there and listen. Give it full concentration, and inshallah ta'ala you'll benefit tremendously. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح لله ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم. هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش. يعلم ما يلج في الأرض وما يخرج منها وما ينزل من السماء وما يعرج فيها وهو معكم أينما كنتم والله بما تعملون بصير. له ملك السماوات والأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور. يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وهو عليم بذات الصدور. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ثم أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, I'd like to first start by congratulating the many of you that were in this struggle with me for the last 10 nights. May Allah Azza wa Jal put barakah in all of the time that you spent here and help you see the fruits of that in this world and in the next world. I pray that Allah Azza wa Jal rewards you for all the minutes and seconds you spent away from home, driving here, spending time here, fighting your sleep here during class, fighting your sleep on your commute back, and every second of that towards ibadah only for Him. Because all of this, nobody did this because Arabic grammar was fun. It's because you wanted to get closer to Allah's word. And Allah Azza wa Jal is of those who appreciates. So Allah Azza wa Jal acknowledges that effort in all of us, and He will reward us in ways we can't even expect, in this world and in the next. Now, in my conclusion, typically I give a talk, and it's been the same talk for 10 years. I give the same exact dars for 10 years at the end of a 10-day class, except this one. This is possibly the last time I'm teaching this class. Possibly. That's why I had it recorded. And I will give you some part of the dars I typically give at the end, but I want to spend more time actually sharing with you some ayat of the Qur'an, that hopefully will serve as reflection for myself and for all of you, and really put things in perspective. There are two kinds of requirements for understanding the Qur'an. There are two kinds of requirements. I would even say understanding. Let's just say benefiting from the Qur'an. There are two kinds of requirements. The first kind of requirements, you can call them academic. Learning the Arabic language is an academic requirement. Studying tafsir is an academic requirement. Understanding the linguistic analysis and the tradition and all of that, all of these are academic requirements. They require you to study. Anything that requires you to study becomes an academic requirement. But more important than the academic requirements, there are certain psychological requirements. I mean, if you don't want to use the word psychological, you can even call them spiritual requirements for benefiting from the Qur'an. And those are the harder ones. As a matter of fact, somebody who's intelligent can learn the Arabic language in no time. They can study tafsir in no time, memorize even in no time, and understand and know a lot about Allah's book in very little time. But the psychological requirements, the attitude requirements, in really benefiting from the Qur'an, they are a lifelong struggle. They are something that you can meet at one point in your life and lose at a later point in your life. They are not something you get to keep. They are something you have to fight to maintain. And you have to, more than anything else, you have to fight yourself. I have to fight myself to maintain those requirements. I can tell you that 10 years ago I knew a lot less about the Qur'an. As the days and the months and the years went by, I knew more and more and more about the Qur'an. And even though in the grand scheme of things I still know very little about the Qur'an, those original requirements that are psychological in nature, I still have to struggle with those every day. I have to struggle with those. It's not like I graduated and I met those requirements. Like, you take prerequisites in college, you meet the prerequisite and that's it. You don't have to go back to it anymore. It's not the case with Qur'an. These requirements, they're of a different nature. And the first of those requirements is understanding and reminding oneself every single time, why am I learning this? Why am I reading tafsir? Why am I learning Arabic? Why am I memorizing these ayat? What is the point of all of this? The intention behind all of this? And all of you know the cliche answer, and the cliche answer is, this is so I can have guidance. This is so I can have guidance. That's the, Qur'an is guidance. We study it for guidance. But that term is used so often that we actually don't understand what that really means. What does it mean that I'm asking Allah for guidance? What that means is that on a given day, every single moment of my day, I will be presented with choices. Should I stay in bed or should I wake up? Should I look there or should I look down? Should I talk back or should I stay quiet? Should I earn my money this way or should I find another job? Should I pursue this or should I leave those friends? Should I hang out with them or should I not hang out? Should I respond back to the text message or not? Choices, all the time, every second of the day, you and I are going to be faced with choices. When we ask Allah for guidance, we are asking Allah for the strength to make the right choices. That Allah empowers us because of His word to make the right choices. Guidance of the Qur'an, that's what that means. That's what that means. And I tell you, when you are ready and you're strong enough to make the right choice, like for example, I'll tell you an example. There are many sisters, for example, I'm not picking on sisters, relax, okay, calm down. But sister came up to me and said, I want to wear the hijab, but I can't. I'm not ready yet. And I said, you have to tell me what that means. I'm trying to understand, what does it mean when you say you're not ready yet? I'm not belittling your concern, I just want to understand. And she said something like, I feel like I'm not a good enough person, and if you wear hijab, everybody thinks you're a good person. And I don't want to give the impression that I'm such a righteous person. I want to be who I really am. So when I'm a better person, then I'm going to wear it. And I said, there is not going to ever come a day in your life that you will wake up and look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm a good person today. Finally, I've been waiting all this time to become a better person. Because that would mean you're self-righteous. And self-righteous people are the worst kinds of people. You and I will never be good enough. We're never going to be good enough to obey Allah. You still have to do it. If you're convinced it's something you have to do, you can't put it off. Why am I bringing this up now? Because guidance If you accept this book as guidance, if I accept this book as guidance, you know what that necessarily means? That necessarily means I'm going to have to change the way I make my choices. I am used to making bad choices. Get used to it. I just do it all the time. So I don't even think twice about it. I even start telling myself what shaitan keeps telling me. I start telling myself, what's the big deal? You're messed up anyway, but at least you do some other good things. Your good deeds should compensate for these bad things. Just do it, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Why are you so hard on yourself? Or the shaitan comes and tells you, you're messed up anyway, might as well just go, die partying. I mean, you're going to burn anyway, so might as well live it up for the little time you have left. And you start telling yourself that. Shaitan tells you that enough times that he leaves you on autopilot, and now you can tell yourself. He's not even doing waswasa to you anymore, you are enough to do waswasa to yourself. That's what happens to some people. That is why we have to recite the Qur'an and reflect on the Qur'an regularly, to fight those temptations, to fight those inclinations, to fight those voices inside us that lead us to failure, that lead me to failure and lead you to failure. And it doesn't matter if you're a student of knowledge, it doesn't matter if you're a scholar, a teacher, a student, an expert, a novice, doesn't matter. This will happen to all of us. This is going to happen to all of us. The size of the color of your hijab doesn't matter, the size of your beard doesn't matter. Your age doesn't matter. Shaitan will not spare any of us. He will come. And Allah offers us His protection. We recite Qur'an and we say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. You're going to recite Qur'an, seek Allah's refuge from shaitan. Two reasons for that. One, if you don't seek refuge of Allah from shaitan while you're reciting Qur'an, he will mess up your reading of the Qur'an. He will put waswasa in it, he'll distract you, you won't get the benefit you need to get. Two, one of the reasons you should recite the Qur'an is to get protection against shaitan. It is why Allah gave you this book. It is why Allah gave us this book. The actual engagement, I've said this in several talks, but I don't get tired of telling myself. Even if you don't have it, you've heard it 20 times and you're tired of it, I don't get tired of it. The actual relationship I have with the Qur'an is not when I'm listening to a lecture. Is not when I'm memorizing. You know when the actual relationship I have with the Qur'an happens? When I'm standing in salat and reciting it. When I'm standing in salat and I'm listening to it being recited. The relationship we have with the Qur'an happens 5 times a day at least. That is, if somebody's salat is good, their Qur'an is good.